Last week I shared this cinematic portrait video, and in today's video I'm going to share 5 tips on how to create those cinematic portrait videos. And I shot this with my SONY FX3 paired with the Vespid primes, and sure, this does help to get a certain look, but you don't need any of this to create a cinematic portrait video. In fact, 3 years ago I shared this video, which was the first video that kind of blew up on my channel and got views and also got some new people on my channel. And this was shot on the Sony a7 II with the Tamron 28-75mm zoom lens. And we are going to start with exactly that topic, talking about gear. And after that, we are going to work our way to the really important topics such as editing, using available light, camera movement, and how to get a really nice interview. So let's start. Alright, talking about camera gear. I already said that I used my Sony FX3 with the Vespid primes, and I do love this combo, but you don't need any of this. As I said in the intro, I really mean this. In the end, we only need a sensor and a lens. And guess what? Probably your phone will check those boxes and you can go out and start shooting videos and get better. Because every time you are out shooting, you are improving your skills as a filmmaker and improving your techniques, and definitely learn something. While when you just stay in and have excuses on why you don't create this video now, you're not going to learn anything. You can watch all those YouTube videos, but practice makes perfect? No, just practice makes you a better filmmaker, let's say that. And with this, I just really want to motivate you to go out and to create, because this is the most important part. And if you are like me, you love gear and you love watching videos about gear and love talking about gear, but I really want to motivate you that gear doesn't matter in that point, that you can just go out and create something with what you have already and get better videos. Because these next tips that we are going to talk about, these are the really important tips that will help you to create a more cinematic portrait video or any kind of video basically. Because in the end, it is like you can have the best camera in the world, but if you point it towards a boring story or don't know how to tell that story in an interesting way, this video will suck. So the storytelling is really what makes the difference in your video. So let's dive into that. And in the video that I shared, I used an interview as a voiceover. And this is basically a concept that I wanted to try out for a couple of my client work projects. And the concept behind this is basically that we don't really have a concept. We just have a protagonist in the video. We have like 3 or 4 questions that I communicate with the client. And then we just show up, ask the protagonist the questions, and after that getting some B-roll. And because I never really did it like this before, I wanted to try this, and this is how I came up with this video idea. And if you want to try to capture an interesting interview scene for your portrait video as well, here are some tips for doing this. First of all, you need to decide the topic that you want to talk about. When you have found this, you have to determine 3 or 4 questions that you want to face with this video, and make sure that you are asking open questions. So for example, why do you live in Colmar and not do you live in Colmar? I guess you see the differences. And also tell your protagonist how they should answer. So you definitely want them to integrate your question in their answer. So again, the example, why do you live in Colmar? They can answer, I live in Colmar because blah 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 blah. Or they can answer directly with, because I blah 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 blah. And in the second example, you are missing those very, very important pieces that help you to tell that story. And also make sure to kind of brief your protagonist on how they should answer in a way that you need detailed, short answers. Because if you ever did an interview, you probably know the feeling of sitting there and listening to a live story just after one question, and you are running out of data because they are talking 1 hour straight, and you have all that information, but you can't really use this because this is not important for your film. So brief them, say them what you need, say them they should be briefly and short in their answers, but pack it with details. Don't hesitate to make a couple of takes, and Also give them feedback on, yeah, I like this sentence, can you maybe start with this? Or maybe emphasize this point a little bit more. Just give them something to work with. The next point is camera movement. And you won't believe me when I told you that just the day before shooting this cinematic portrait video that I shared, I had no idea on how I want anything to look. I had no idea about camera movements, I had no idea about the storyline. I was lost, and sometimes this is a huge pressure when you don't know how to start your video. Here's a tip. Figure out or get inspiration on how to start your video and also on how to end your video, because when you have those important topics or important points, you will figure out the rest. So I want to give you an example on how I did this in this specific video. As I told you the day before, I had no idea at all. I knew that we wanted to take that interview and use this as a voiceover and just show everything with B-roll. And then the night before, I just went through YouTube, Vimeo, Instagram, just got a little bit of inspiration, and I saw two very cool videos that inspired me. And the first one is this one, but it's basically that entrance shot on the camera facing the direction that the protagonist is facing and also moving in the same direction. And then the protagonist is entering the frame this way. And I really liked this shot. I wanted to test this out, and then I decided that I want to start the video in this way. And this directly slides into the second idea that I got inspired by. And this is a video of a good friend of mine who lives in Berlin, awesome director and DP. And he is really, really good in editing, in my opinion. And he's starting always with a really nice pace in his videos.
I think living abroad in multiple cities just broadened my view on a lot of aspects in culture and fashion.
And I kind of wanted to get something similar and try out this style as well. So I decided, because we are in this video that I shared in kind of the topic of learning, studying, I decided that we are going out in the park and she is just writing something in her book. And because of this, I knew, okay, we need something to sit down on the grass. So we have some kind of blanket or something. And then the first idea, the first shot, just slides into the second idea that I wanted to start with a fast pacing. I wanted to start with just the nature sounds, with just some really cool and strong sound design. So I decided to use this to start the video on how the blanket folds out, and then getting some dynamic pacing with fast and slow cuts. And this is really the idea behind this video. And I think it turned out really, really good, and I really like this style. And I ended up using exactly this style on my latest client work project. So this is the result of the client work project.
Was ist unser Antrieb? Warum machen wir das, was wir machen? Weil wir die Energiewende voranbringen wollen.
And here again is this short cinematic portrait video that I shot just the week before.
Je suis actuellement à Colmar parce que j'y fais ma dernière année de master en marketing international.
So the biggest getaway that I want you to learn from this video or to keep in mind for your next shoot is that these passion projects are really a playground that you can use to learn new skills and to just try new things. Try things that you have seen, try things that you just thought about in some situation, and just go out and try them. If you want to create a film just on your tripod, go out and create a film just on your tripod and see how this impacts the story that you are telling. If you want to go crazy and I don't know, I don't have any more examples, but you get the point. So the next tip is about using available light. And in my opinion, this is the best thing that you can do in order to learn the basics about lighting. Because right now I don't have any lights available. I just have this practical here, practicals over there in the kitchen, and I'm using this window as my key light. And I got another window over there that just kind of wraps around so that my face doesn't fall off in total black shadows or something like this. And it works out. It doesn't look like the biggest production with the biggest budgets or something like this, but if you know how to use available light, you will be a better gaffer on set, or you will be a better DP telling your gaffer how you want this light to feel, to look, or basically how to light a scene. Okay, breaking it down real quick for using available light. I personally like to backlight things and stuff when I am outside, because this also gives you kind of some flares that I personally really like and just give you some more depth in your video. And if you are inside shooting somewhere, use the window as a key light. This definitely works out. But if you are indoors and shoot something where you point out to a window, expose for the highlights, because blown out windows just suck. If you want to expose for indoors, make sure that you are not shooting towards any windows that are completely blown out. The last point that I want to talk about is editing. And this again is a huge playground where you can test out new styles, new stuff, new techniques, and just get better, because in the editing is so much potential on whether your video is going to be good or bad. Or let's say if the video is going to be interesting or boring. And here I don't want to give you some tips on editing, I just want to give you tips on being open to learn new things, getting inspired, maybe try to get a similar style on a video that you just saw and you just really like, and just by emulating this style you're definitely going to learn something, and eventually just spice it up with your own personal taste and maybe find your own style. And again, because this is a playground, you can test out different techniques in order to tell different stories. You can have the same video that is going to be edited in a different way, and it's going to feel completely different because of the music that you choose, because of the sound design, because of the pacing that you choose. And this is really, really interesting to see it for yourself. So again, just go out, create, learn new skills, and get better. And this is really it that I have for you today. I hope this video was helpful for you. If so, please make sure to give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because this would support me a lot. And if you did it, I'll see you guys in the next video.